a story that is dear to this man's heart. His fellow teammate Steve Smith is going to be, is released from the Carolina Panthers. He spent his entire career there. He is now a free agent. They did not want to pay him $7 million this year. Now that he's released, they owe him $5 million, so they saved $2 million. The big question, though, and I will get into your take in just a moment, is from GM Dave Gettleman. According to the Charlotte Observer, let me try to find this quote. Here it is. Sources say Gettleman views Smith as a distraction and is ready to turn the locker room over to emerging stars such as quarterback Cam Newton and middle linebacker Luke Kuechly. And then the landing spots. Here's another big question mark. Smith, as in Steve Smith, is said to relish a chance, I like relish, to play in the NFC South so he could face the Panthers twice next season. Atlanta and New Orleans might not have the cap space to bring Smith in, leaving Tampa Bay as the only possibility within the division. Baltimore and San Diego, where Smith has a history with Coach Mike McCoy and receivers Coach Fred Graves, are possible landing spots. I certainly believe that the replacement might be Hakeem Nicks, but what do you think, as a former teammate hearing all this now?
Brings back memories about locker room stuff. Yeah. Greatest player I played with, him or Julius Peppers, one of the two best players I've ever played with. I could see sometimes maybe the locker room leadership, handing over leadership roles. He's a stubborn son of a bitch, you know. But he's very honest and he's very vocal. And sometimes people take that as offense. But sometimes
teammates take it as offense.
Teammates, coaches, everybody. Sometimes people don't like to be called out, you know, in general. And he'll call people out. And, you know, people call it arrogance or whatever. He's confident. He's just a confident guy. I would dread to see him play against me if I was in NFC South. Uh-huh. You'd be like, oh, I got to see this guy 2 games in a season, especially playing against Carolina. Yeah. I can't wait to watch that because it's definitely TV drama. But yeah, too much on the cap. You know, he's got too much money. It's it happens to everybody. Nobody ever believes it's going to happen to them until it happens. He's got more years under him. He's still a great player.
At 35, he still has more years? No doubt?
No doubt.
He put up the worst numbers of his career last year.
No doubt.
He had 64 catches, 745 yards, 11.6 yards per catch, the worst of his career.
Okay.
All around.
That's fine.
Why?
Because he's a solid player. He will make your team better. For sure, on the field, for sure. He will. There's no doubt in my mind that he can't get 1,000 yards again this season if he goes to the right team. And how Carolina was playing last year, I think now that he's getting older, he's kind of feeling like, he's kind of realizing like he's going to have to be that type of, not step back and limelight-wise, but, you know, he's not going to be getting the 1,500 yards a season anymore. Mm-hmm. But he's going to make that third down catch that you need in the middle of the cold in like November. He's going to make those solid catches and you're going to be like, you know, and he's going to punch you in your mouth at the same time. So those are the type of guys you need on your team.
Sure. So even though, you know, you've said that he's stubborn, it's confidence. You know, you told Ben and I a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, on this very show, there are many different avenues in which players hype up themselves. For sure. And, you know, you mentioned a corner who would talk to himself and then you would talk to him about it after the game and be like, no, that's just me. Yeah. That's just me hyping up myself.
I thought he was yelling at me, and he was actually just yelling at himself, but just saying stuff to hype himself up.
Right. So people who say that Steve Smith is arrogant, it's just his way of going about things.
His way. I mean, sometimes he'll cross the line, but sometimes.
In what way?
I mean, sometimes you don't need things to be said. Mm-hmm. At sometimes, like when the coach is speaking, or it's a certain moment in the game where we don't need some sort of things being said, but it's usually out of frustration or anger because he just wants the ball. He wants to make a play.
But doesn't that risk the locker room, Drew? I mean, he's going into a new environment with new teammates. Maybe one teammate he had previously. That's the one thing
I worry about because, you know, he's not the most like socially likable guy right away because he comes off with a chip on his shoulder. So all of a sudden you kind of get put back where you're like. You first meet him, you're like, damn, what did I do to you? You're already mad at me, kind of thing. So I could totally see that, especially with new teammates, new personnel. Mm-hmm. Nobody knows how to there's a lot to come with him.
Were you about to say nobody knows how to handle Steve Smith?
Nobody really does. No. I mean, except for the people that have been around him, like McCoy or was it Graves that are Mike McCoy was with Steve with us in Carolina for 10 years. So he knows Steve in and out. He
So
knows when he's mad. He knows when he's grumpy. He knows when he's happy. He knows everybody's happy when they're getting the ball, but
Right.
there's certain moments where you're like, this guy needs to be spoken to, but I'm the only one that could talk to him because everybody else would, he might fire off on him.